I think that might be the game changer. I don't know. I'm not actually going to say that. Let's have a look at the vetoes. Let's have a look where we're going to be heading for map number 1 of tonight. Cafe, Border, Consulate, Coastline, Theme Park, and Villagon. Juicy.
Clubhouse. Yeah, it is juicy. I mean, Sinister have been good on Clubhouse in the past.
Yep.
So this has got to favour them, I'd say. But Pittsburgh Knights, maybe this will work out for them. They've been reworking some stuff in the break, I'm sure, with Joey.
Yep.
And Joey himself notoriously quite good on Clubhouse.
So both of these teams, I just threw my pen away while I was secretly looking at this. Both of these teams have pulled out a draw against Wildcard on Clubhouse. So that is something very interesting to note taking into this matchup that, I mean, on results, it could be said that it is quite even on this map, and I actually think they go as far to almost replicate the same result against Fnatic, a 3-7 loss on Clubhouse. So this,
Jeez.
I actually don't think I've seen that before, absolutely replicating from Wildcard to Fnatic. Of course, both of those teams being what we assume to be the Titans of this region coming into this season. Wildcard haven't lived up to the expectation Fnatic have, but we're not here to talk about those two teams. Where are we thinking this heads? Are we thinking Sinister are going to be able to pull this? Are we going to see a little bit more experience on Pittsburgh and a little bit more calm and composure?
Yeah, well, this is where Joey could make the most impact. Maybe putting him into the roster hasn't seen dramatic results. Maybe it has.
Yep.
But when it comes to an actual official, I think having that level head is going to be a really big factor for the Knights. One thing in particular is they usually were struggling in the first half of the season with their attacks or their second halves. And I think having a steadier like Joey will help them finish out a full map. And I think if Sinister aren't ready for that, that's something that will help Pittsburgh secure the map.
So we are not necessarily leaning toward Pittsburgh, but we are slightly skewing a little bit, would you say?
Like I'm on 1 foot on their side.
Yeah,
you know, like,
okay. Well, that means you're on 1 foot on the other side as well, right? Or do you have the other foot off the ground?
It's slightly in the air.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So it's just a jar off the ground a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's we'll say 51-49. How about
Something
that?
like
Does
that.
that sound fair? I feel
Yeah.
like that's a fair assumption here. So I think that, again, coming into this second half of the season, a lot of things changed for these teams. Now, if we weren't just to talk about the roster changes and as well the org changes and all of these things that kind of been injected into this scene, I've said injected twice now, so I'm going to move away from that word. But now that we have seen that second half, you know, where we've seen the break, we've seen the pause, we've seen teams be able to reset, and we're coming into this second half of the season, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I feel like, I mean, this could just be a wild statement here, and I could be completely wrong, but I feel like those bottom 4 teams, Fury, Kanga, Pittsburgh, Sinister, I feel like they've kind of changed things up a little bit. I feel like Fury might be one of the only teams that haven't really shaken too much up, but I do see that this bottom 4, they've all got so much potential in it.
Yeah, and they're somewhat undeveloped rosters. Pittsburgh, when they came into the season as homeless, were already a bit of an undeveloped roster coming straight out of Challenger League. So now that they've made a roster change, it kind of further really gives us this unknown, like where can they really end up? They've got a chance to prove themselves now. They've got some big matches to finish this half, and they've only played top teams so far in the season. So now if they've got an opportunity to do that, it's this split. It's this second half of the season.
This is where they can get those point grabs. Well, we're 51-49 in terms of Pittsburgh. Let's have a look what you at home think. Are we going to see something similar? No, we're going to see heavily towards Sinister. It's a shame, but it means that now we can kind of have a little bit of conflicting views here. However, do you see why that would be replicated more so for the community?
I mean, there's a different logo on the Pittsburgh side, so maybe some people are like, oh, I don't really know what they were doing in the first half, so let's just go Sinister. But, I mean, like, it's still pretty close. It's not a massive margin in favor of Sinister. And the draw factor there, which I wouldn't put past this map in particular, bringing out a draw. It's definitely a possibility.
Well, the fact that we've already seen a draw from both of these teams against Wildcard, I still can't get over the fact that we've seen the same results from both of these teams on Fnatic and Wildcard. That is, I don't know, it's a little bit of a quinky-dink, and now we get to see how this matchup's going to lie. I don't want to ask you for final predictions, but can you see a world in which this scoreline will blow out?
I would be surprised if it's a blowout.
Yep.
But that's the thing, coming in with a bit of uncertainty around the Pittsburgh roster because of their change.
Yep.
I mean, another thing to note is that they do now have an organization that is giving them that support. So maybe that in itself might give them some kind of performance boost. It's also their first match under the Pittsburgh banner. Maybe that gives them the nerves. Maybe they can't show up tonight because they're a bit shaky.
fair bit of pressure lying on their shoulders, Raven. It's do or die time. Second half of Pro League begins now. Pittsburgh Knights going up against Sinister. Sinister will be on the attack first. The two outings that both of these teams have had on this map, falling 3-7 and drawing 6-6. So literally the same results echoed if you're only just tuning in. I'm not going to say that means it's going to be a close match, but it does mean that if the results have been so similar, we will more than likely see something that comes to a closer end result.
Yep, and the Maverick ban is a great ban for Clubhouse. He assists a lot with hatches and that CCTV wall, getting that open without having to worry about a bandit trick or wall denial in general. So having him out and the Thatcher is a massive deal now, because dealing with that hard reinforcement is going to be a massive challenge.
Yep. We will see Maestro taken on the defensive side. That's Sinister's ban coming through. And Knights, where will they choose to go for their final ban? It's going to be Mirror.
Both strong defense bans as well for Clubhouse, particularly that Maestro being able to play on Catwalk in particular for a CCTV defense, and the on-site intel in itself with Maestro is so strong. So not having that available will just even things out a little bit there. The defense not going to be able to lean on that, especially in the late game. And Church is going to be the first bomb site here by the Knights, bringing out the Kaid, of course, to get those hatches, which means that Habana and Thermite will have a terrible time trying to get hatches open with no Thatcher and no Maverick on the board.
That's for sure. Stigs showing face on the castle, picking on to the Legion. No changes in the camp of Sinister. That Kaid, will it buy enough time? Will it just be enough of a menace to maybe consider a different approach from Sinister? By the way, I love this UI. Ubisoft, you've done me well. It was the one thing that always just used to hinder my experience in the tiniest bit, was not understanding who had what left, what drones were still up. This is a very welcome change, and I love it.
Yep, it's very nice, it's very clean, and it gives us a lot more information in a single glance without the spectator having to flick through a lot of different operators or figure some things out. So that is great there. Looks like there might be a bit of a roam strat here. Dino has been putting some cameras around the place, main stairs and bar, to gather a lot of intel around there. Interesting that the Legion has been brought. He has recently gone through a slight nerf, change to his gadget, most notably not being able to see where your goo mines are through walls without direct line of sight. That's important because it was a big part of intel collection as a defender.
Well, it certainly gave you a lot to work with, and your team as well. So it does make things a little bit trickier. That's a word that I'm going to use from now on. I don't even know if that's English or not, but I'm making English up as I go.
Meant to be more tricky.
You wouldn't believe I got paid to talk, would you?
Yeah, come on, mate.
Rookie. Absolute rookie. Rightio, looks like Pittsburgh going to be, rather Sinister, sorry, going to be starting out with that top roam clear directly down.
I like this a lot from Sinister. They've taken this top 4 very swiftly. It's taken them less than a minute, and Nico has just been deleted by Stigs, in fact. That is from below using his own buck holes. So he's not going to be too happy with that. And look, I take it back, as I'd say they've been very efficient. They're opening some clever holes. They'll catch the defense off, but not to be at all caught off himself. And that means they're facing a man disadvantage very early in this round.
That double-edged sword can come back to haunt you. Leader at the moment now starting to clear out. Milo too. Still enough of those. Oh, see you later, Alligator. The pre-play C4. Dino will be laughing after that one. 2 players down already for Sinister. Pittsburgh yet to be touched.
That's a great start for Pittsburgh on the defense there. Just the intel game winning out hugely, getting some big picks. Fisho has been taken low as well, so Sinister not doing too well. Finally do get their first frag. It's Fisho guy, but down to a minute here, and they're going to have to progress forward with a bit more pace, because if they're going to try and get this church wall open, if Kaid does have an electric claw free, actually he doesn't. So that wall may be able to get open easier. They
are starting to find some extra space, problem being that Man down, that man disadvantage. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. Still, 2 C4s remaining. Pittsburgh Knights, one on Strider, one on Haywood. We'll be able to slow this down a little bit further. Fisher guy has been able to creep deeper onto Pittsburgh here. The timing every day of the week for Strider. HP advantage as well as the wide swing. 20 seconds left, Raven. Not looking good here for Sinister.
No, they're very split as well. Luna on that hatch. Vinny has gone down main stairs. She does get one, though, into church, which makes it a little bit more even. Vinny has pushed all the way down the hallway, trying to find an angle to get a pick, but Stiggs takes him out, leaving it all up to Luna. And it's not going to be. Knights will close out that first round. Never really looked in doubt, did it, Rob?
No, right from the get-go. I believe, oh, now I can't remember who it was that found the opening kill.
Stiggs.
Stiggs! See, this is why you are the Batman to my Robin. You just find every way to help me, don't you?
I appreciate that you called me the Batman.
Oh, every time, dude. Every time. I'm merely but the space filler.
Oh, yes.
I'm the person that assists you, Raven. You do not assist me, I will tell you that much.
Oh, wow. Thanks, man.
You lead me. As did Stiggs in that round, finding that opening kill. Like you said, Raven, they did not look back after that one.
No, it was a really strong defense, opening it really well with a nice peek through the buckholes from Stiggs. And that will give them some good confidence moving forward. And really important here that Sinister don't get too in their heads about it. Statistically, that will be their hardest attack for their attack half due to how the bans have played out. So, in theory, it should get less tricky for them now, but it's still not going to be easy, of course.
I always love the in theory, because in theory very rarely works, doesn't it? We always sit here and we like to try and give certainties, and the amount of times we're completely bamboozled by something that those attacking operators end up pulling out. The rabbit out of the hat, if you will. Although, like you're saying, great start for Pittsburgh now.
10 seconds left before insertion.
And just to reiterate for those of you at home,
5 seconds
Sinister,
left before insertion.
I'm not going to say that this is kind of their season that's on the line, but you would have to expect if they're not able to pull any points away from this matchup, they may be looking straight down the barrel at staying at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, and they're not going to be happy with that at all, given that they were coming into this season quite confident. They've got a nice looking lineup in front of them here, and just not being able to record those results can be really frustrating as a team. So getting past that and actually being able to get some results feels good, and they won't want to finish the season without getting that at some stage.
Yep. For damn sure. Sinister starting to clear out that bottom floor, but still need to be so cautious. This is where things started to go a little bit Haywood, if you will, rather. Go. Nice frag grenade. Trying to cut off the singular. However, it does not connect. Sinister will slow their progress back down.
This is the real impact here of these bans, not being able to use that Maverick or the Thatcher to deal with this wall. The impact, the bandit trick coming out beautifully there. Fisher has found a pick though to make it a bit easier for Sinister. It was the smoke, so potentially a late round help for them on the attack. And the wall has opened, so actually not a whole lot of time burnt off by that. Maybe 15, 20 seconds longer than you'd expect, but still quite good for Sinister.
Minute 30 left. Luna's now got the line toward Cat. Nico finding Dino to begin with. Eye for an eye. Slowed back down here for Sinister. There are no hurry just yet. Every time I look at that clock, I expect it to be so much lower, but they have certainly been very good with their time management. Now with the 2-man up, could not possibly see this going sideways, but I say that we have seen it many a times before, so maybe don't hold on to that fact just yet.
Yeah, Nico looks like he's just waiting for a call. Maybe they're droning out logistics there, just deciding whether he can breach down. He has. And there's somebody in construction waiting for him, but no shots connecting. Fisher is there to attempt to refrag if it was to happen, but not at this stage. They've got some good control of construction now, so not only have they got CCTV open, they're in construction. Time has really started to tick away though, with 30 seconds to go. Haywood fights back for the Knights, giving them a shining light in this final 30 seconds here, Rob.
That might be something to work with, actually. Because the frag grenade doesn't go deep enough, so Don't stress just yet for Pittsburgh. They're still holding on here. 20 seconds left. We're looking to come in from that outside platform. Milo as well trying to find a cheeky little angle here. They're going to have to start pushing eventually. It's Nico to lead a little bit of this charge. 8 seconds left. Luna explodes on the two of them. And Strider can only hold for the one. Milo will shut it down, and Sinister with a very explosive end there.
Yeah, that breach opening just in time for Milo to be able to push through, and they secured that refrag. It looked like there was another one there anyway, but I really like that execute. It did come quite late from Sinister, but once they exploded on, it was some really great teamwork just to frag it out, to close the round out. Sometimes you just have to commit to stuff like that. You just have to send it, secure some kills, not worry about that plant, just finish it off.
You said it.
Send it.
Send it. Sometimes there's nothing better, and sometimes you don't have a choice. You just have to send it. Sinister now bringing it back one apiece. Had a good giggle there, Raven.
Yeah.
We always enjoy our time here.
You make me laugh, Rob.
Oh, stop it. Man, this has been a wholesome start to this broadcast. A wholesome start to the second half of this season.
Yeah, man. So,
Defenders,
Sinister
protect
get
your
that
bomb.
round back, and they keep it at 1-1, and that's going to have to feel good because after losing that first round pretty poorly, you'd have to say, maybe you would be worried about their mindset, which has been generally their issue. So to bring that back straight away is going to be great for them, and Knights have not decided to repeat that. They're just moving on to the gym bedroom bomb site, continue to rotate through, and not to get stale, keep their opponents guessing.
Attackers have located a bomb.
So, Pittsburgh, it's kind of in their hands at this point. They have decided to move away
10
from
seconds remaining.
cache CCTV toward the gym bedroom bomb site,
5 seconds
and
left before insertion.
I am a bigger fan of one and go than I
Attackers are
am
heading out to defuse a bomb.
repeating bomb sites. I find rather for the mentality side to be able to say, right, we can move on from here. It's never too much of a hindrance. Sometimes you see that back and forth, Raven, where you're trying to figure out what was that one thing that went wrong, and sometimes you can get caught in that loop. Luna this time quite cautious. Doesn't want to give away one of those charges.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, gonna have to use that hard breach very sparingly. You don't want to have to lose it because while they get this wall open, they're gonna have to deal with the cache wall still. And it's not even just the CCTV side of cache wall. Maybe you want to do something on the stairs side. So that means that hard breach really needs to be spared. On top of that, usually you would try and get this jacuzzi wall open, which of course is also going to require some hard breach. So it's spread really thin right now with a lot of denial. And that's definitely why Sinister are being that cautious.
Nothing wrong with being a little bit extra cautious. Nico taking down Hayward. Actually, I'm not even sure where that was, if I'm being completely honest. I think that was in cache there. Yeah, it was. So they've already lost a fair bit of control across toward that construction site. Do Pittsburgh decide to double down and maybe try and hold it, or do they back away? It looks like they've chosen the latter.
Yeah, just have to be careful as Sinister push through. There is that small trap with that long hole in construction, but they have managed to get past at this stage. They will funnel across, and it looks like they're really going to be dedicating to that east side push. Next thing they'll want is to probably try and take logistics control. There is a rotate there, that wall is soft, and two players currently playing there, Strider and Joey G. And that's going to be a big linchpin for if Sinister can really get a clean execute, or if Knights will be able to keep that foothold and really dig deep for the rest of this defense.
Minute left. Now they start to edge a little bit closer. Luna will be able to open up onto Joey. They haven't spotted the player out in behind. That's going to be the free kill for Strider. Can he find a second? Maybe the third as well. Pulls the sidearm out, but it's not enough. 50 seconds left off the clock. And that was explosive for a short while there. Pittsburgh come out actually not too bad in the end of that.
Yeah, lucky, because it was off the back of what you'd have to say must have been some poor droning. They would have droned that out before they pushed through for that double push. I liked that Sinister did funnel through that rotate hole with two people so that they could actually refrag. It didn't work out, but a nice drop from Nico to save it. 30 seconds to go, though. They got two to deal with, and they're in strong spots here. But, oh, the bathroom guy gets a chance to peek out. That's a real misplay from Sinister, and all of a sudden, Knights have this control.
Nico going in up close and personal, will be able to find Stiggs, knows exactly where the second player is. Choices have to be made. 5 seconds left, sitting behind the shield. Will he be able to get close enough? No, 2 seconds left, and it's not enough for Nico. Oh my word!
Operators, you have run out of time.
I nearly had to take back all remarks then. Nico trying to pull some sort of trickery.
I reckon
all over.
a quarter of a second, almost. Maybe not even half a second, and that round probably would have been different. That pre-fire was on point, but it did manage to scrape through for Knights. They potentially don't even realize how lucky they were just then until they watch this back with that outline. And look, they're going to go up 2-1. They get to go back to church now, and that's a pretty big deal because this was a really hard bomb site to attack.
Whether it will have a similar feel to it, Stigs, obviously with that opening in that first round, gave them so much extra room. It took the buck out.
Attackers need to
Kind of,
locate and
it felt like
defuse
it
the bomb.
settled Knights a little bit more. It gave them a little bit more room to breathe. So the importance of that, will it be echoed? Will they even need it this time? You can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be feeling a lot more comfortable though after winning that last round, regardless of how close it is, regardless of whether they knew or not how close it really was. After taking that third round, it gives them even more time to come into their place.
I think every defense that Knights secure as well is going to be really positive for them, not just obviously because they're winning rounds, but because of the way the bans have come out here, it's clearly going to favor the defense. Like, it's a defender-sided map as it is, but these bans make it hard to attack, especially Church. So if the Knights come out with this half maybe being 3-3, that's tough, and that's going to put a lot of mental pressure onto them going into their attack half, because you'd be expecting a lot more out of your defense.
Obviously, having that Maverick off the board is quite a hindrance in opening up those hatches, and likewise, oh, well, I'm not even going to get to finish my statement. Stigs, once again, will open up the rounds. Luna this time falling. That is the Thermite. Raven.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Sinister will be feeling a little bit antsy now.
Yeah, losing that hard breach is going to make it even harder for them. They do still have the Habana, but it's hard enough to get anything open with anything, really. Let's be honest, it's hard to open any hard walls at the moment. So without that Thermite, it makes it near impossible.
Bomb located.
And Nico has got this top floor control again. He was the one that lost his life the first round that they were attacking this through Stiggs' pre-fire in the holes. And they're going to have to really think about how to structure this. If they can't get hatches open, they can't put any meaningful vertical pressure. And I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest, Manning.
They're definitely going to have to go a little bit with a little bit more conviction this time. And hit this nice and deep into that site. That's not exactly the way you wanted to start either. Fisher guy taken down. Dino will back it up with the C4 to ensure that there's no further life form in that kitchen, barring Vinny. Nico has given them once again another way back into this round, but it's going to be a little bit, still a little bit of a tricky journey at this point.
Yeah, Vinny was lucky to survive that C4 as well. He was pretty much on top of Fisher at that stage, ready to pick him up. I think managed to lose a little bit of health. Just noticing that Vinny hasn't got a kill yet so far in the game. Definitely a highlight play for Sinister, so maybe a concern for them that he hasn't been able to really get in. Starting to push blue as Nico's in oil pit. Looks like that might be the teeth in their push. A nice nade from Nico.
Very solid nade, but returned in kind with a C4 from Strider. Nico thought it clear, and anything but. Maybe a little bit unfortunate. A foot a little bit deeper, a little bit further away, and it might have been okay, Raven, but
yeah,
not on this occasion.
Yep, not on this occasion. So that round is closed out. But look, those Church attacks were always going to be tricky, and I think losing those shouldn't really affect their mindset too much.
Yep.
They're expected to lose those. I mean, they obviously shouldn't be going into it thinking, we're probably just going to lose this or whatever. But at the end of the day, you've got to try and find something positive to help your mindset. And looking back at that, I'd just say that was always going to be our hardest attack.
Yep.
It's done now. They don't have to worry about Church for the rest of this attack phase.
It's a little bit calming, a little bit soothing. However, I guess one of the main concerns that I'm kind of seeing in ebbs and flows is the fact that Nico seems to be that one player that continues to bring it back, that continues to give Sinister a movement in the rounds that they're even close to winning. You know, Nico, I think it was a 2 or 3K in that third round there. Both times they've been a little bit more pressured, or rather they're putting a little bit more pressure onto Pittsburgh. It seems to be Nico opening up these rounds with those opening kills. So again, this is probably to be expected, right? I'm not saying anything that people at home won't expect, but it doesn't have the same feel for Pittsburgh. It kind of feels like an overall effort at this point.
Yeah, and I think that just comes down to the fact that they are the ones on the defense. They've got a lot of power at the moment in the way this matchup is playing out, and they're playing some really balanced lineups here. They've got a lot of good intel, and a lot of operators that they can frag out on, and a lot of these players are actually very capable fraggers.
Yeah,
I think that's really presenting itself within the way they're playing.
It does do so, and I think, to be honest, the 3-1 start for Pittsburgh, I would believe that you would echo this, does seem to be the similar fashion to what we're seeing. It's not like it's, you know, sometimes I feel like there are rounds that kind of just go awry and all of a sudden it's 2-2, or maybe even Sinister would have the lead. But I feel like Pittsburgh have really been able to double down on this, and so far, so good for them. I'm seriously concerned for Sinister at this point.
Yeah, they need to tighten some things up for sure.
Yeah.
But if I was Sinister, I'd look back at this and say they had a good round attacking CCTV and Cash. It did end very close to the end of the round, but their final execute and even their early push was quite good. And even if you look back to their gym bedroom attack, where they were literally half a second away from winning that with Nico's pre-fire, that attack was pretty good too. They got into CCTV quite swiftly. They cleared out Cash. It had good progression. It's really Church that's been the biggest struggle.
Yep.
And to an extent, they can kind of write that off.
Yeah, they can just put that in the back pocket and walk away. Again, I hate saying that something is a defended-sided map, but we do see that Clubhouse does tend to lean more toward that way. I know that we're probably more so on a defensive-sided meta, so I don't really need to keep pushing on that. But from this point onward, it's now realistically Sinister's chance to get back into this and try and equal out these this scoreline. Maybe 3-3, maybe we see it come back, and a 4-2 I think would even still be fitting heading into that second half. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think if I was Sinister, look, if they can win 2 attacks, great.
Yep.
Like, it was never going to be easy. The bans have made it even harder to attack on, like you said, an already defender-favored map.
I hate it.
Yep, don't like saying it, but it's true. And look, one thing to say is, like, statistics put things in pencil, but the teams put it in ink.
Oh.
So if it's defender-sided, you could be a great attacking team and just change that.
I'm just going to say, you've changed from Batman to Alfred. You've just gone from, like, you know, being the lead role into the, I was going to say I can't even say it, philosophical. There we go. It took me a little while.
Job,
character. Yeah, that was literally, I feel like if you go back and play that, I was tripping over my own words before they even came out.
I could see the struggle.
That's a great start, isn't it? It's maybe
you're fine.
Rob just sticks to the more basic words.
You're fine, man. But it's the nature of the way Siege plays out. There's so many variables that you can't just look at something and say, the stats say this, so that's probably what's going to happen. And I mean, we can draw some conclusions from that, but teams can change it up, and that can change up from week to week, round to round, if you want to speak about it in like the micro.
Yeah.
Sinister might come back from this rehost. Maybe they'll surprise us and they'll just win the rest of their attacks, and then all of their defenses and the map's over. And we'll be like, whoa, never would have seen that coming.
It's one thing about Siege and the rehosts that I think kind of it adds an element, if you will, because what it allows teams to do, it does allow them to actually have that break, regardless of whether it is Pittsburgh or it is Sinister. Maybe Pittsburgh aren't even happy with their performance right now. Maybe they're seeing holes in how they're playing. Don't really know how many holes they would be seeing. Obviously, there are a couple of things that maybe they can tighten up, try and tighten that ship up, if you will. But apart from that, it does seem very, very relaxed for them. So you'd have to say, coming into something like this, coming into a rehost where it takes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes sometimes, it does kind of give the team that are down a little bit more of an edge. It kind of lets them settle a little bit more.
Yeah, you can collect your thoughts, you can recompose, whereas if you're the team that's up, or even if you're the team that's favored, it's just more time that delays what you feel like is the inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've got this in the bag, let's go. And then maybe they get a bit antsy, and that can actually work against them. So yeah, you're right. This really could be a variable that assists Sinister more so than Pittsburgh.
I felt like I was telling you something then, and I wasn't sure whether you were agreeing, and I was like, hang on a second, you have the full experience of this. You can definitely shut me down here if I'm wrong. But I honest to God, I do think that when you come into these matches, when you are looking down at the deficit, it is a lot easier for, you know, teams to be able to take a breather, just kind of maybe get a little bit more level-headed, because I feel sometimes as esport players in general, not even just Siege players, but we do get in our own heads quite often, and you know, it kind of, you end up digging yourself into a hole that sometimes you can't get out of. And I think that it's one beautiful thing about the two best of one formats that we roll with, is the fact that you can actually have a small little break in between and compose yourself.
Absolutely, and something about the Six Invitational that was great is it really highlighted a lot about the mental game, which I think was really underappreciated for a long time. And that LAN really highlighted the teams that were able to recompose. And I mean, SSG ended up winning it all in a best-of-5 series. They were down 2 maps, and they brought it back. They did have a map advantage for winning winners bracket, but they were facing series championship map, basically.
Yep.
And they brought that back, and even then they were down in rounds on that third map that could have lost it for them. So again, just highlighting the mental aspects of esports, competing in general, and Rainbow Six Siege.
Storylines being storylines,
5 seconds remaining.
we love any comeback story. And
Of course.
if it wasn't for the underdogs of Australia that we always like to I was going to say barrack, and I don't know how many international viewers would understand what I mean. When we're championing for a team, that was a terrible way to say it. All the Aussies will know what I'm talking about, but maybe it's the international viewers that'll be a little bit side-headed.
Just teaching them some stuff, man. Teaching them some Aussie English. We're back in the map though, Rob, and Sinister on the attack here. They will be attacking CCTV cache, so Knights just continuing their rotation. It's very much exactly repeating what they did in the first half of this half. It's the quarter, I guess you could say. Hayward in a strong position on Catwalk there with ADS, is playing it as the Jaeger. Sometimes you would see that as more an anchor operator playing it, but the way Knights have their lineup set up, it's quite free-flowing. And look, Strider playing the Wamai, this is something we haven't spoken about. Is the operators now available for Pro League, Wamai and Kali.
Baller. Also think that we didn't actually talk about at the start, and I realized not even halfway through the first round that we hadn't really spoken about the theme park.
True.
The beautiful theme park map coming into the competitive play. So that's obviously something that has been a large talking point. But, like you said, Raven, we're in game. We're hunting. And right now, Sinister haven't really found anything but damage on their end. Obviously defending cache CCTV. They've got something open nice and early here. Not sure whether they've been given any sort of information or not, but I would dare say, judging on Sinister's previous attack, they are more than happy to drone in, get that early intel and play from.
This one, Mai, is going to be adding a really interesting dynamic here because that shield is in a really deep spot, and ADSs and magnets can be protecting that. So Strider could potentially sit there quite safely deep in that position to watch the breach. So I like this strat, and I assume that's what it's doing. Valkyrie off the board though, that's a C4 below that won't be able to deny a plant, for example. Sinister opening the board is going to help them a lot, but time is really starting to get away from them.
It is something that we constantly talk about there, and just as you've seen, information being passed on. Haywood's now stuck in a rock and a hard place. Vinny Dusby at least find Joey there. Haywood falls down as well. Things are exploding. All of a sudden, Luna takes down Strider, and Stig's well and truly off site, not even in the realms of possibility, at least to deny access. Oh, and he's, yep, no, not even a rotate hole.
Attackers are activating the diffuser.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, it's going to be really tricky retake for him. He's going to have to funnel through this doorway. I mean, he could drop down the hatch, but then it's not much of a better option. He's going to have to come up the cache stairs, or he's going to have to come up the garage stairs. So nothing going for him. A flawless round from Sinister after the rehost. And look, Rob, this is it. They won this site last time as well. They've got a chance to actually take this half 3-3.
Do love seeing a good story where we get to talk it up a little bit and then it comes through and you're able to see the full fruition of what we had maybe discussed previously. But there is one point I would really like to note right now, and that is Nico's performances in those opening duel. Currently going 3 kills to 1 death. By the way, shout out Dev Mata. Absolute whiz on the spreadsheets.
Yep, that is true. And if you guys didn't know, he is an absolute spreadsheet nerd.
He really is just a whiz, right? Like I've spent 3 years in esports trying to perfect how I tell stories, how I go back and look at rounds and look at certain points in the map. And, you know, for the longest part, it's been all on paper. I've got books upon books. And all of a sudden, Dev walks in, drops the mic, turns around the spreadsheet, and then walks away from us all and just says, have a look at this masterpiece.
Yeah. But I love him for that. And we're lucky that he is in APAC. And look, it's the last round for this half, Manic. And
no, it's fine. You can call me Manic.
This is grand habit.
It's the thing, right? Like, it's completely fine. It's a hole I've dug myself into. I actually don't mind the name. It's just I wanted synergy across everything.
I like it. I fear for Knights, to be honest, because I feel like coming into this, they would have had a lot of expectations of themselves, more importantly. And if they have this half at 3-3, no doubt they're going to be disappointed with that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful little story arc to start our first match back into the second half of Pro League. A team recently picked up by Pittsburgh Knights were previously homeless in name and quite literally as well. Humble beginnings into a fair bit of pressure, obviously, regardless of what Pittsburgh are putting on their shoulders right now. There is still pressure attached to it.
There is, and time management is going in Sinister's favor yet again. CCTV wall open nice and quick, but it's not as contested. It's this next part that worked out so well for them last time they attacked this, and that's taking cash and construction so that they get a better opportunity to take out logistics. Nico watching that rotate. They seem very much aware that somebody is down here on this roam, playing billiards at the moment. Vinny in a bit of a tricky situation there. Could get peeked from that double window if he stops watching it. Air shield exploded. Will delay them from getting through to construction, but that just gives them time to drone it out.
You would have to say, once again, the time management has been quite good from Sinister. Minute 45, and they're already finding their way into cash, starting to put the feelers out in toward construction, like you're saying. The drones. Strider at the moment just playing patiently on that first floor. A little bit more of a viable rotate, which last round was definitely not the way.
That being said, though, there's something to be pointed out here about playing a downstairs roam on this bomb site. If you take your time to get back, you're kind of stuck, because you can get cut off at main stairs, especially if Jacuzzi wall's open. And if the flank is being watched, like through lounge, for example, it's really hard to get back up through cash or garage. So it has to be timed well. And speaking of well timed, Nico has just been cooking these grenades to perfection and getting so many frag grenade kills. And Sinister are just fragging out at the moment. Knights still haven't got a kill since the rehost. But I just cursed. Sinister, I'm so sorry.
You hadn't even finished, but it's okay, because Vinny's there to save the day. 45 seconds left. Stiggs will be able to find Milo. It's all of a sudden on like Donkey Kong. It's on to Dino. There's no one left. Wits and Will. That's all he has left. Not a single kill to his name yet. He's going to be able to find the diffuser. And the second as well. Will he be able to find the cover? He might even be able to finish them off, but no. Sinister will close out the first half 3-3. And Fisho Guy is the dagger.
That was very close as well. Dino was very aware he was pushing that. Took the gunfight, but did not secure it. A nice attempt to save that defense, but it wasn't to be. And Sinister, they're going to be feeling really good coming into this defense half, and I think that is so important for them in this first game back. Mindset issues have been abundant in the first half of the season, so having this good start so far, putting them in a good position to finish off this map.
This could be it. This could be everything that they've been looking for. Capitao, I don't think we saw him brought once on Sinister's attack. Not that I can recall. I try to... Unfortunately, the old memory just ain't what it used to be when I was...
Really setting yourself up to sound like a bit of a boomer here, Rob.
I really do. You know, oh, no.
Well, that's not a great start.
You don't run in front of any... Oh, no. Man, boomer aside, that was not a smart move.
No, it's definitely not the way that Milo will want to start the rounds. He's essentially one-shot to most of the guns that are on the attack now. So playing an operator like Wamai, he's got a great loadout. You can play him quite aggressively as a roamer or just in general feeling comfortable to take some gunfights. But that's exactly not what he's going to be feeling. He's not going to feel comfortable to take gunfights. Might make him play out this round a bit differently. I'm really excited to see, though, this combo of the Jaeger Wamai. I mean, we saw the rise of the Mozzie Mute combo, which is also in effect here. But now we get to see this Wamai Jaeger combo.
Well, this might be one of the first times we see it for the competitive side of R6. How well they will be able to use this in the coming months, we'll wait and see. But now, Pittsburgh on the attack after, you must say, a disappointing finish to the first half. Still with a fair bit of information. Pittsburgh taking their time in clearing that roam. That gym bedroom area, which Sinister, rather Pittsburgh, I'm not going to say they were more inclined to, but we still saw Strider hanging around there, even in late rounds, so they're just being cautious.
Big thing here is where exactly is this electric wall placed, because they don't necessarily need to trick the wall at all if they can't shoot that claw off in the first place. So if Joey can't see that from that CCTV window, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I thought that was a kill for Sticks for a second there, but no, Nico does find Strider off, but that's the Thermite. Massive pick there. Now they've just got the Habana for this hard breach. Probably not going to be able to get that CCTV wall open now. And if they do, it's not going to be as comfortable as a whole as it would have been as a Thermite. We might see them rotate around to just push construction side now. That's going to be a massive deal for Sinister to allow them to play more comfortably in CCTV.
You'd have to feel as though they are feeling a lot more comfortable now that they've been able to take down Strider. Like you're saying, Thermite, obviously a large player in this round. Vinny as well, going to be taking down Haywood. That's explosive from Pittsburgh. They'll trade out a 2-for-1 and equal out evenly. However, Dino does go down in the end. A 3 versus 2. Pittsburgh definitely not afraid to take these mid-round fights.
Yeah, not sure whether that was Sinister just over-aggressing, maybe getting a little too excited around construction, or whether Pittsburgh tried to get something happening on site, but it was shut down, and it means that Sinister maintain man advantage in this final 40 seconds here. Up to Stiggs and Joe, very capable clutch players there, but not when they're dead. Fisho gets that one, leaving it all up to Stiggs. He's down below, and he's down, can be finished off, and Sinister on a bit of a roll now, Rob, and they've just won not necessarily the strongest bomb site that they can defend.
Well, it's got to be said, take your hat off to Nico, currently sitting at 4 opening kills and only 1 death in those opening engagements. That is ridiculous. 5-1. That is a ridiculous opening duel, KD, if you will. And from here, it kind of has set Sinister up for a lot of their rounds, and it looks like it's just going to continue to do so, dropping that Thermite. How crucial that may have been in the round had they have been able to hold on for a moment longer. Smoke will be taken for the Mozzie and the sledge for the Buck.
I'm wondering whether the delay of picking Church is just to continue to throw Pittsburgh off with maybe the way they're picking their operators, or whether they're just keeping it in the pocket just because they want to play it later. Either way, I'm very surprised they haven't chosen it earlier, considering its strength against these bans. But who's to argue? They've played so well ever since that rehost. Their attacks were pretty good, a flawless one, and then one that looked, you know, relatively clean. And then that defense looked fantastic.
They are definitely on a roll. And it has been since that rehost. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and speculate and about it, but it has definitely bowed in the favor of Sinister, and they have just taken it and run. They have not looked back for a second. And like you said, is a very convincing round in that previous one, and to kickstart a second half on the defensive side, Pittsburgh need to tread with caution from here on out.
This is a very late setup here from Fisher Guy in the CCTV, and I'm not too sure about that thermite charge. Do they think it's bottom floor? Surely not.
I mean, why else? Why else would you open dirt? Raven.
Let's see how this round pans out. I have a feeling they think it's bottom.
He even had me thinking it was bottom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So
Are Sinister baiting this?
We saw this strat in EU. I'm pretty sure with M&M Gaming in EUCL, they played a fake strat where they set up downstairs, but they were defending top, and they caused some teams to fall into it. And I think that's the case here because, like, Knights are going all in on pushing downstairs here. They've used a thermite charge on dirt, but even if they get these picks, it's gonna get them nowhere.
That's incredible. I mean, I saw the reinforced wall coming down on Church Wall, and I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting, but that makes a lot more sense. Look at it, Pittsburgh are well and truly sold here. The candy is being given from Sinister, and Pittsburgh think they're exploding onto sight, but it's anything else. It's an absolute bloody onslaught there. There was nearly a second in it for Luna, but exactly what you said, Raven.
I wish we could hear Knights comms right now, man, because I feel like they would be like, oh, we've got sight now. And then they could be like, wait, what? It's not down here.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Like, think about the utility that they've used. Do they still not realize? Because he's nading Church. Maybe they're just not sure whether they're in there anymore. But either way, like, the utility they've used. Oh, he's trying to play.
No, surely not.
Surely not.
Surely that's not what that was, Raven. I saw that too. Surely that was not it.
Either way, it's definitely going to be a Sinister round here. I'd say Rob, unless Dino can pull out one of the biggest clutches of his life. But Sinister have sold the candy, and they're getting away with it here. It looks like it's going to be up 5-3. Wait and reserve that judgment. But with no utility use on site at all, Sinister can sit very comfortably with their man advantage.
That's possibly the world's best switch and bait. And the fact that Pittsburgh had gone all in so early in the round as well, it couldn't have worked any better. Dino just hoping for a Hail Mary at this point, and I mean, you don't have another choice. You've got 15 seconds, you're one hit. I mean, you're just walking into your death at this point, and Sinister are going to let him just walk on site because there's absolutely nothing he can do for this. Wow. Surely the plant can't go down. Milo just going to come in and hit him with the one tap.
Well played, Sinister. Like, that's all you can say. Well played. I mean, like, even if we saw it from a different region first, or M&M invented the strat, they just pulled it off, and it worked so well. I love it.
Oh, man. That's given me the biggest giggles. That was very well played from Sinister. It's just the fact that, like, Pittsburgh went all in. Like, surely they must have thought that there were, like, 3 roamers, and they're like, oh, we're going to catch him here, and it's...
Yep. I think the biggest thing to really say about that play is not just did it work, that's going to be one of the biggest games of mindset ever. Because Knights after that are going to be so like, what did we just do? Like, how did we mess that up? And then Sinister, on the other hand, I mean, like, I said I wanted to hear Knights comms. If we would listen to Sinister's comms, I kind of feel like they would have just been laughing their heads off, man, because to pull it off, I mean, it's going to feel so good, and that's going to be a massive deal for them. Big mindset team. They're 2 rounds away from taking this map now.
Sorry, this is what happened with me and Dev the other day, and I'm sure he's sitting in chat somewhere or listening. I got the giggles, and I couldn't stop. Very, very hard for me to stop once I start, so maybe Sinister are going to finish them off nice and early here. I still cannot believe how well that worked. It wasn't even that it worked, it's just to the extent that it did.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh went all in. They showed all of their cards.
I want to bring it back to what I was saying at the start of that round as well. I was saying, why haven't Sinister chosen Church yet? I said maybe they're trying to bait it out of Knights with their operator picks. But actually, they were saving it so they could actually pull off that trick. The fact they hadn't chosen Church yet meant that they were able to do it.
You are truly Batman. You can see the future.
I can't wait to watch that round back later.
Yeah, that is... I think we're going to have to do it in the break, Raven, honestly. I think we're just going to have to sit here and digest what we just saw, because even for... It was so chaotic for me in my head, because I'm trying to figure out what is actually going on here. I honest to God, did not think that Pittsburgh had fallen for that, but...
Anyway. I mean, it's hard for us to get past it. Think about Pittsburgh, right?
I know,
they're
right?
in the moment here. They're down 2 rounds. They would have been backing themselves. They're trying to meet some expectations now that they've got this AUG, and that round has just happened. It's not easy to do with that on the fly, no matter what team you are. So far, looking pretty good. They're progressing pretty quick here. I think they're going to really pull out some aggression and try to take it back to Sinister. I think that's the right move, because they need to pull back some momentum, but also a bit of that mindset, because really that positivity just got totally stolen from them.
I hard agree with that one. It is really a game about momentum now. Some of this, obviously, you know, your strats and everything can go out the window when the mind games start to come and visit. So we'll wait and see. Can Pittsburgh pull something back here? They looked like they were going to go pretty explosive. They've slowed down since. However, they are making Sinister a little bit more antsy on site. Haywood, the receiver of this. Then again, we've pretty much seen every round that buck has started to open up the flooring. It's actually worked against them.
They really want to try and get this church wall open and make this push happen, but getting lit up through the floor is Haywood, almost getting the pick, but actually almost refragging that impact nade, not hitting the target. Luna taken very low, equal to Haywood, in fact. And this is stalling them out a little bit, but they're looking like they're going to explode through sight here. We call it Ash Wall. It's the soft wall on the left side under the default. They could explode through the armory. Met by a shotgun, though, was Joey. And Sinister just pulling out all these stops, and it's really stalling out the Knights now.
A shotgun at point blank. Definitely every day of the week you're going to be able to find that one. They're now going to start to try and push in. 30 seconds left. They've got to try and find an opening here. They're not going to be given it. They keep going around the corner to Fisho Guy. He'll line them up. 3-piece. And that's it. You can put a bow on it. It's done. There is no chance Pittsburgh are coming back after that. Fisho Guy, well played.
Yeah, really well played by him. And his stubbornness to not reposition was a bit of a smart decision, because I mean, most pro players assume once you've got a kill, the other person repositions or moves around. But it was such a strong position as it is. He backed himself with that shotgun, and I think he got 3 of them on that doorway.
Yep.
They just piled up. Sinister now, they have secured at least 1 point for themselves, and they are 1 round away from taking their first 3 points for the season in quite nice fashion. This has turned out to be a really great performance from them.
It has. It has. And this is not to say that we weren't expecting this, but by all means, Sinister had not had the best start to Pro League Season 11. And, man, if you had told me at the start of the day this is what was going to happen, I would have called you mad. However, this is exactly what we're faced with right now. Match point for Sinister. This could be their first win out of 8. This will be their 9th game that they've played. It will be their first win, which is just... I mean, I can't really think about that. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and look, we're talking at the start of this series. What are the expectations? Well, we were saying it was a bit unknown. Maybe we were leaning a little bit towards Pittsburgh Knights. I know I was. So to one extent, this is a great performance from Sinister, but when do we start saying, like, are Knights underperforming? Are they struggling? Or is Sinister just playing that well that they've really just jumped ahead of where the Knights were at?
Well, the first 4 rounds, I thought, I mean, again, I'm not Raven. I don't have the mind of a coach, but it did definitely feel like Pittsburgh had the control of the game. They were kind of dictating what was happening. Even when Sinister were finding the opening kills, they were still adjusting to it. Ever since that rehost, ever since round 4, Sinister have just turned into a different beast.
I think that's a huge positive for them, because there's their issues in that first half were like mindset related, and to be down a few rounds into this opening map and then they just run 5 straight, it's definitely a big deal for them. Fisho reprising the role on this shotgun. He's going 10-0.
I was literally about to say, and he's gone for the peak as well. My word, how's the confidence? 10-0, Raven. We're now coming in on the 9th round. Anyway, that'll be CCTV wall opened up. No real hesitant either. Sinister are not in an uncomfortable position right now, I must say.
Got some roamers as well playing downstairs. They can use for denial. Looks like Knights are going to push master bedroom side across though. Not troubling themselves too much with Garage at this stage, but they will need to potentially do something about that eventually. Stiggs does open the board for them, so this opening kill will give them a good start. Taken half the round to get there, but it might allow them to start really taking some solid control. There's a lot of drones in construction there as they finally enter it, and they can start to work on the wall or even the doorway to try and push some positions out.
First engagement about to be hit. Will the utility come? Of course, Luna already taken down now. Makes that defense a little bit less tightened. Not to fear though. The contact slows back down. Sinister, they hold their breath for a moment longer. Milo taking down Stiggs. It's a big way to even out the odds a little bit more here, Raven.
Yeah, flushing out that player below just will help them a little bit more. Milo taken low HP though. Going to be a little hesitant into his next engagements. They're droning out sight to see whether they can finally get an execute happening here, but this control is still in garage here. Nico can hold a really effective crossfire in towards Cash and even a CCTV window. I just don't think the Knights have enough control for this execute. It's going to have to be explosive.
Fisho guy will shut down Joey G before he even makes it around the corner. There come the trades. Haywood and Strider. They're bringing it back for the Pittsburgh Knights even, but Vinny not happy with it whatsoever. Dino, diffuser on the back and will not make it past Vinny. That is the first win for Sinister on the board. What a way to do it in the second half of Pro League.
It was a great win from them, so it wasn't even just a win at that. They've come back from 1-3 down to just smash it out 6 rounds in a row, and there was some fantastic things in those rounds. We will get to our beautiful play in a minute, but to close it out, Fisher ended up on 11-1. He only died in that last round. That's after the rehost, of course.
Yes.